What's up, everybody? This is episode 43 of Hoops Talk with Dave's Joint. Shout outs to everybody that's been supporting this venture so far. For those who haven't seen it, check it out on YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. But without further ado, we have a very, very, very special guest here. This guy has been one of the most celebrated, legendary street ball players out there. But he played high school basketball at Graphic Arts, Milford Academy, Bronx Regional, did a stint at Fordham University, also graduated from Riverside Community College, and is the host of the popular podcast, Streets First. I give you Adrian A-Butta Walton. Butta, thank you for coming on to share your testimonial.
Appreciate you, Dave, man. I like what you got going on. I like your homework, you know what I'm saying? I follow you on Twitter, I follow you on Instagram. I love the way that you salute and you know your history, you know what I'm saying? That's one of my hashtags. Like, you really make sure that people are not forgotten. So don't never look at not being recognized. You know what I'm saying? You are making sure that people are not being forgotten, and that's going to be remembered throughout so many lives forever. Always remember.
Indeed. So we're going to get started. My first question is, when did basketball begin for you?
Wow, basketball began when I was like 12, 13. Kind of like, in my neighborhood, we played like flag football, all, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't grow up softball. I didn't grow up like playing basketball at my age, but I did start playing basketball from junior high school. I was inspired a little bit by Tiny Archibald. I went to IS 275. He was my junior high school gym coach, you know what I'm saying? So he kind of like inspired me to want to come in the gym and keep playing. And then Mr. Bird, the gym teacher, you know, they kept staying on me about playing basketball. And long story short, I started playing for the church that was around my neighborhood called St. Mark's. And I went from St. Mark's, that's now kind of like known as Abyssinia, you know what I mean? But St. Mark's was the church that I grew up with. Rest in peace. This guy, his name was Lemonade Lex. He passed away, but Lex and Turtle and Kev and Rick, you know, those guys, and, you know, they ran St. Mark's. These guys were just trying to help guys in the neighborhood have somewhere to go to be able to learn how to play basketball. And St. Mark's was somewhere that helped me learn how to play basketball.
Wow, that's cool, man. So talk about, you know, what part of Harlem did you grow up in, and what's the basketball culture like in Harlem?
I grew up on 138th. That's where I'm from, 138th and 7th Avenue. The culture, I grew up wanting to go to Rice High School. So, I mean, the culture in Harlem is different, you know. Lenox Avenue is live. 8th Avenue is live. That's where the Ruckers at. So it's like, you know, all throughout Harlem, everybody's trying to get a name. Everybody's trying to get some glitz and some glamour. That's all you really see when you go through Harlem. Everything is about style. So I kind of like grew up in a world where you ain't know you was growing up next to Mace or Big L or Cameron. Like, these are all people that's just right here in the community. You know what I'm saying? Right here in the neighborhood. Like, stars right here just next to you growing up to be legends. So it was different, you know, but Mace, you know what I'm saying? These guys, they inspired you to, you know, want to strive for more, you know, and being that I grew up around that, I became one of the hungry ones.
Well known. So talk about, you know, St. Mark's / Abo. Like, what was that program like?
That program was basically like, you know, they wanted to always play against Riverside. They always wanted to play against Gauchos. Their thing was, you know, we got the diamond and the roughs. You know, we got the guys that people don't really know about, and, you know, we're going to make sure that, you know, once those programs see those guys, you know, they're going to really, really try to go hard and try to get those guys, which wound up, you know, happening. You know, we're grateful to have people that's still trying to, like, do programs and things like that in the city. You know what I'm saying? And still trying to make sure that the young kid, you know, be able to have an opportunity. You know what I mean? The guy that can't get ranked or people don't know about. So I was fortunate, like I said, to have Turtle and those guys push for me, you know what I'm saying, to be able to go and try out for Gauchos, you know, get a chance to be looked at. Why? Because I played against them in tournaments. So being able to play against them in Rucker, Junior Rucker, and play against them in UDC and these different tournaments and things like that, Gauchos wanted me. So I got a chance to go and play for Gauchos, and everything changed from there. Just playing for Dave McCollin and playing for the coaches that coached me over there, the Twins. You know, they showed me a different type of love for my talent. It was like they seen it in me. You know, they kind of like shaped it, meaning they didn't stop me from being like the open court player that I was. You got some guys that's real good in structure, and you got some guys that's good at open court. So in other words, you got guys that you give the ball when they grab the rebound and you let him work, or you got some guys that you come down, get it past half court, you set it up, he understands how to get the basket. So you get what I'm saying? I'm an open court player. So Gauchos kind of like fit for me. It was like they let me play. Dave McCollin stayed on top of me, was always, you know, screaming and making sure that I paid attention. But the biggest thing for me playing for Gauchos was the traveling. You know, me being a kid from Harlem, me being from New York, I got a chance to go to Paris. I got a chance to go to Florida. I got a chance to go to certain places that, you know, you would imagine, because the only time that you seen teams going places like that is if you played with a Catholic school that did those things like Rice did when they was going away for like Christmas tournaments and things like that. Other than that, you had to play with one of the top tournaments to be a traveling team. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
St. Mark's wasn't fortunate to have that type of funding. Gaucho Riverside did, you know.
Yeah, and I guess like that's tough for like the small programs, you know, because eventually they become the feeder programs for the big AAU programs. Whereas now, you know what I'm saying, Gauchos in Riverside, they're still around, but not as prominent as they once were. You know, we still have the Wrens, PSA, Lightning, New Heights. You know what I'm saying? Those are all programs with like kind of like bigger budgets that could do more for the kids as far as the exposure.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much going on out there as far as AAU. But so yeah, what were some of your favorite tournaments that you played in as a youth?
As a youth, I love UDC. I love Junior Rucker. You know, they had Rucker on 122nd and what's that? Madison? No, Park. No, excuse me, 22nd and Lexington. It was in that park over there. They had also Junior Rucker over on 145th and Lenox.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Saturday, Sunday Rucker. That was before you was like in high school. That meant something. That mattered. You know what I'm saying? Like playing in that Holcomb Rucker. That's what it was called. But playing in UDC, Gun Hill, you know, growing up, like I said, you know, EBC was kind of like top notch for me. You know, other tournaments like Kingdom and the GOAT tournament on 95th and Amsterdam, you know, Amsterdam Action. Like I played in just about everything and all throughout New York City. I'm quite sure Positive Steps, Bird Classics, like these are all tournaments that I'll never forget because Big Dogs Behind Harlem Hospital. These were monumental to why my neighborhood and my city like me and love me the way they do. You know what I'm saying? It's like I never shied away from going to another neighborhood or community to showcase my talent to make sure that they remember me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So before we get into EBC and all the good stuff, let's go through high school first. So you went to graphic arts first. You know, talk about that experience at that time.
At that time, like I said, I wasn't really playing basketball. Like I played ball, but I really wasn't serious about it. So like I said, I played for Gauchos. When I got into high school graphic arts, I transferred and started playing with Riverside. You know, my cousin Ernest, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to my cousin Ernest. He was playing with Riverside, and he told me, like, yo, man, you need to start getting paid. Like your talent is getting better. You need to start, but more than just getting paid, like, they going to give you some structure, and they might help you get in school, like, all. And I listened to my cousin. You know, I took the chance, you know what I'm saying? And I went up there with him, and long story short, even though I went to graphic arts, I really wasn't playing. I played my freshman year. I transferred after that. But Riverside was kind of like schooling me to get ready, you know, to play high school basketball. Like, that's where you really, I feel like that's where I learned that I could play college basketball. I could play pick and roll basketball. I could play 24-second shot clock basketball because Riverside schools you on that. Like, that's mandatory. It's no just hurry up and come down and shoot within 12 seconds, 8 seconds with them. They're not trying to hear that. You get what I'm saying? So, long story short, I transferred from graphic arts and I wound up going to Milford Academy. Mr. Lloyd, you know, helped me out and got me into prep school. So I went to prep school and I played along people like Mark McCarroll. He wound up going to Syracuse. No, he was looked at by Syracuse, but I think he went to Pittsburgh. Yeah. Who else? Damian Radcliffe. Today he's like an actor or producer, if I'm not mistaken. A-Butta Johnson. He went to, if I'm not mistaken, the school in, I don't know if it was South Florida. No, not South Florida, but it was one of them schools. Long story short, Kason Mims, you know, I went to school with, what's my man's name? What's this? You always make me laugh, man. Big, they call him Coke Boy Mad Max. You know what I'm saying?
The French Montana security guard.
French Montana security guard. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
That's my family. You get what I'm saying? But he was my sister in Milford Academy. You get what I'm saying? He played behind Mark McCarroll. So it's like, these are guys I went to school with that they all saw, like, yo, A took the key and A was in the gym. Milford, I contribute to a lot of my success coming back to New York City. It was like, I remember before I went to Milford, I was playing in a tournament in my neighborhood on 39th Street. Mace had a team, you know, Big L had a team. It's called Blacktop. Long story short, they was calling me the sellout. And I'm from this block. Like, I live right up the street. They was calling me the sellout. And it's because the guy on the mic, when I'm getting ready to go make a layup, he'd be like, the sellout, watch you sell out, watch it. And I really miss. And it's like, I'm wondering, like, why is this dude doing that? Like, he knew my moms. This is just real talk. He knew my moms. He grew up with my older brother, rest in peace. But because he's commentating, I guess because he knew me, he felt like he gonna make everybody in the crowd laugh or whatever. Long story short, that inspired me. That gave me a different type of energy that I said when I went away to school. Like, yo, when I go back to New York, like, I'm gonna be like one of the best out. Like, they're not gonna say I'm gonna work out in the gym. Like, I made the coach up there, Bob Riggio, shout out to him. I made him give me the key. I was like, listen, you don't stay on campus. We stay on campus, and it's like, I'm responsible. You know, I'm responsible. Let me get the key. I was going to the gym 1, 2, 3 in the morning. They looking at me like, yo, why you going to the gym? Mark McCarroll always wearing the strip shoes. These are things that I'll never forget. He like, yo, why you always going to the gym? Listen, man, 3 in the morning while y'all sleep, I'm working out, bro. You know what I'm saying? I was working out. I came back to New York, bestseller. I went from the sellout to the bestseller. Like, my hood never seen what they saw before. I was going to neighborhood before I started playing in Rucker, playing people one-on-one for the money and beating them. And people saying, I didn't know he was that strong. I didn't know he was that nice. What happened? I went away to Milford, Connecticut. What's that? 29A exit off the 95. And I went and changed my whole body, my whole game in Milford, Connecticut.
So, you already mentioned Mason, Big L. What was it like being around them? Like, what kind of people were they like?
Wow, Mace. First, Mace is like, wow, cool, wow, chill. Like, Mace thing was, he wanted to have a team. He wanted to make sure that everybody knew that he was rapping and that he liked the team and he brought everybody Jordans. It's people like him, Tiny Bum, like, these are when you say street people and street guys, these guys made sure that the neighborhood and the community was good. So when I say like to see Mace like buy everybody Jordans to play in the tournament, that was big back then. Everybody couldn't get Jordans. You get what I'm saying? Like he made a statement. It was like, you know, I want my community to feel like they're loved. Big L, he was a Jordan fan. Rest in peace. Nobody could never tell anybody that ever see this, anybody that you ever ask anything about Big L, if they ever was close to him. I live right around the corner from Big L. I saw Big L every day. I live on 7th Avenue and 139th Street. Big L lives between 7th and Lenox on 139th. I saw Big L every day. All I'm trying to say to you is you couldn't tell Big L nothing about Michael Jordan. He had every Michael Jordan shorts, every Michael Jordan sneaker. That's the one thing that I could honestly give you that living around the corner from Big L, you couldn't tell Big L nothing about Michael Jordan. He'll argue you down and say he'll have every stat, every whatever you need to know about Michael Jordan. That's how much Big L was into Michael Jordan. I can give you that. Anybody in this family, anybody that knows him know, they can tell you that. If they vouch for that, then you'll know, like, all right, you know Big L.
Wow, that's crazy.
Couldn't tell him nothing. Like, he wanted that argument. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's how you'll know. He wanted that argument.
Shout outs to Mace. Rest in peace, Big L. So all right, so let's talk about EBC for a minute. Like when did you
Before you go to EBC, you can't skip Bronx Regional. I got a high school championship in alternative school.
I was going to get to that. I was going to get to that.
My bad. I heard us talking from graphic arts. I wanted to make sure after Milford, I went to Bronx Regional right after Milford. My bad.
Nah,
Run your show. My bad, baby.
We'll get to that. But
it's a whole thing. You know how we get. My bad.
No, it's all good. Don't worry. I ain't forget about Bronx Regional. But we're gonna segue into EBC. When did you first start playing Pro-Am Unlimited?
I went up there at 17. I was 16, turning 17. My birthday is July 5th. You know, I don't know when this comes out, but you know, my birthday is on Sunday. You get what I'm saying? So I was 16, turning 17. You know, and like I said before, I went up there and I live in Harlem, so I always used to hear people talking about it. I go up there when I was around 14, 13, and I just look through the gates. I look through the crowd, like standing in the streets, and just to hear and see people up in the stands and stuff. I'm from Harlem. It was more about a party and a look than me really trying to see the game. You get what I'm saying? But being around the game and understanding that this is what it was looking like and about, I wanted to make sure when I went out there, I was tight ready. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said, like, I stress and talk a lot about going to Milford and getting stronger and stuff, because I had got a chance to really work on my body. You know what I'm saying? Like in school at a young age, that kind of like helped me even to this day as I get older. It's like I ain't been to the gym in I don't know how many years, but my body is so fit from taking advantage of being young and working out. You know what I'm saying? When I seen Rucker, it was like, yo, it was different. The lights, the people, that just hearing what they saying on that microphone, and it just always seemed like the light was on you. And I just felt like I wanted to be ready for that. When I first got in there, they called me the young one. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, I was trying to dribble and do things to where, you know, they called me the young one. Shout out to Tony Rosa, you know. I love the fact that Tone used to tell me, you know, I don't care who comes to the game. If Adrian comes to the game, I know I always got a chance to win. Like, I've always had coaches that I never forget and always give them shout outs, because my pops died when I was young, so it was like they always played like great fathership roles, not just coaches. You get what I'm saying? Like, they said things and came across to me to where I still stay in touch with them to this day, because it was like they brought the best out of me. And I just think that that's what every father, every coach should be able to do when they working with a kid or their son. You get what I'm saying? Like, you should be trying to get the best out of them. You know what I mean? Whether it's tough love or not. So I always respect that Tone. He made sure that, you know, he got the best out of me. Shout out to Lamont Jones and Charles Jones. You know, those guys kind of like schooled me being older. now that I look back and, I watch the tapes and stuff, watch the games, it's like Charles Jones really was a prolific scorer, but Lamont Jones really knew how to control a game. So it's like, even when I see myself always having the green light, because Lamont was the point guard, I always got to see where if A was bugging, Lamont made sure that, hold on, we going this way for a few. You got to respect that. I could see that now watching the game. I really didn't look at it like that when I was younger. I just felt like, these niggas always give me the ball. They always showing me love. I'll be showing them I could go. But now that I look at it and understand basketball, shout out to Lamont Jones, man. Lamont Jones really controlled a lot. Him and Kareem Reed, they controlled a lot of my lifetime championships. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always give props to myself for my heart, my animal spirit, and wanting to play and just try to, like, get at the game and get at people and always try to win and take advantage of the advantage. But now that I'm a little older and I look back at some of the point guards that I had in my lifetime, it's like, no matter how much scoring you do, you got to tilt your hat off to guys that know how to set the game up right for you. You know what I'm saying? I had good point guards in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm. So let's go to the big moment that everybody knows. July 1999. You in vacant lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys got to play at EBC, and a very famous player came in who just retired from the NBA, Vince Carter.
Just retired. Shout out to him.
And that game, unfortunately, because of the rain, gets played at Gauchos gym. You guys had that epic duel. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, talk about that day at Gauchos. I'm sure it was packed just to see Vince. Talk about that memory of that day.
Now, for me, being there, they talk about stuff like this. We heard the hype about Vince might come to the game. So I'm excited about playing outside. But being that it started to rain about early in the afternoon, we knew the game was going to be indoors. Vince didn't get there until like the end of the first quarter. So it's like, you being a ball player, you already know your adrenaline is already into who you playing against. You're not really worried about who ain't show up or not. You get what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
But to hear him and Lonnie Harrell, a.k.a. Prime Objective, walk in that building and to listen to that crowd start screaming and getting loud, it was like, if I was getting ready to score, I had to bring the ball back out and start dribbling for a second just to hear what everybody was yelling about, because they wasn't yelling about anything I just did with the ball. Why is everybody getting so hyped? That's the type of energy they brought into the gym when he walked in.
Wow.
We scored. They hurried up and called timeout and made sure that they subbed him in as soon as he got there. As soon as he get on the court, I'll never forget this, He gets on the court and he just guards me. And I'm looking at him like, yo, why you guarding me? And he like, yo, I'm going to make you better. I'm just being totally honest with you. Those are my words, and that's what I said to him. Why you guarding me? He said, I'm going to make you better. At the end of the day, it was like, I felt like I played with Charles Jones. I played with a lot of guys that had names. It's like, Lenny, why are you guarding me? Like, Charles plays in the NBA. He's two-time leading scorer in the nation at LIU. Why would you want to get on the court and play you Rookie of the Year? Like, that's your kind of competition. You get what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
But whatever, shout out to Lonnie Harrell, Prime Objective, whatever Lonnie Harrell was telling him about who I am, that mattered. You get what I'm trying to say? He felt like I was the matchup. And like I said, shout out to Harlem, man. I'm always shout out where I'm from. Harlem made me feel like when you hear somebody, like, tell you they're going to make you better, it's like, I feel like where I'm from, nigga, we make ourselves. So I took that as a challenge, Dave. Like, on some G shit, I really looked at that as like, I'm not letting nobody come on the court and try to, like, tell me. And when people ask me, like, how is it that you was able to go 6 for 6 or 7 for 7 the way you was scoring, that's how serious I was. That's how determined I was. Like, I wasn't letting nobody come in where I felt like I made my name and just try to, like, tell me what they gonna do. I always felt like if he got a name, I got to go with him in order for me to get my name. If they know him, when this game is over, they going to know me. All my life, that's how I made my name. If guys keep it real, they got to be able to tell you, I don't care if they made their name in the McDonald's game. I don't care if they made their name in 5-star. I don't care wherever they made their name. When I played against them, I kind of like made my name more for playing against them. Real recognized real. That's why today a lot of guys show me love, because it's like, you can't act like 17 to 28. You ain't get none of that A-Butta. You did. I'm from New York. You did. Grown men.
Right. So who you feel, so did you guys end up winning that game?
And that's the thing. I won the battle, but he won the war. It's like me and him, it got to a point where both teams was the crowd screamed if someone else dribbled the ball. Like, they made us in that game where we had to go head to head. That's how ill New York City crowd is. They were screaming. I'm going to put that game out. Shout out to me, to the Marius family. We got Golden Era Streetball on YouTube, full games of EBC Rucker games. I'm gonna put the game up because I got the game where the handheld is on the court. I know a lot of people could Google it. You see the guy who stuck a camera in and was able to record from the stands. But I got the guy that was walking around on the court. That's why you're able to see me where I'm taking pictures and all of that with Vince. I'm gonna put that game out there just so people could see. We was able to go after each other for 7-8 times in a row with no one else touching the basketball. All I'm saying is I scored the 8th one or the 7th one. He missed the 7th one or the 8th one. But he won that game by 2 points. You see what I'm trying to say? So it's like his team won the game, but I have 45. Vince might want to say, yo, I showed up late. I still had 32. I don't know what you had before I got there. My story always going to be, you only got there at the end of the first. Majority of the game, once you got there, the whole time you guarded me. So who else you think got some of this 45? If you don't want to take the whole 45 clip, cool. I looked at the tape. Vince got 37.
Wow.
So if you don't, I ended up with 45 in the game. So it's like, I scored 9 points, 8 points more before he got there. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But once he checked in, you still got the rest of that whole 37 on your own. If you don't want to take the whole 45.
That's crazy. So let's get back to you left. Why did you decide to leave Milton? Milford, I'm sorry.
Milford?
Yeah.
I mean, the prep school thing to me was like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm hanging around rappers. Cameron was having me in Rap City. I couldn't really go to the games. I'm playing in the Rucker. That whole traveling and staying in Connecticut, that wasn't me, Now that I'm older and I'm able to tell my story, that wasn't me. So I kind of came back to the city and wanted to make sure that it didn't matter where I went. When people saw what I was capable of doing, I'm playing against teams it was a school called MCI or something like that. These guys were ranked number 1.
Yeah.
Yo, dog, we was playing in tournaments, man. We was beating these guys. I was spanking these guys. They were number 1 in Oak Hill and all them. Ask Mark McCarron when you get a chance to speak. We were spanking these guys. All I'm saying to you is, I wasn't into all of that. I was like, nah, I'm coming back to the city and I got to stay in New York. Shout out to my man, Sean Bloom. He used to always let me take his car because I'm from the city. He's from Boston, but he used to always let me hold his car and go back to New York on the 9-5. So it's I ain't never really want to stay in Connecticut.
Right.
So I wound up going back to New York. And like I said, Bronx Regional, shout out to Wade Williams. He was the coach. Colin Powell, he was the principal at the school. Shout out to Charlie Cato. He was the security guard. Shout out to Monster. He was the scout/recruit. All I'm saying is these guys played a significant part in making sure that Adrian understood we all have your best interests and we trying to make sure that you prosper. I ain't never had 4 people. As you can see, I still remember all of their names. I ain't never had 4 people really tell me we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that you prosper. So They had a winning record. They was winning before I got there. I just wanted to keep up tradition. You know what I'm saying? They told me this is one floor. You can go out for lunch, but after that, other than that, you're on your own. I felt like this was college before I went to college. You know what I'm saying? I went and took advantage of it. You know, they made sure that I stayed in school, did the right things, made sure that I took care of my grades. Like I said, it was all on one floor. You know, in high schools, you got math floors.
Right.
I went to high school where everything was on one floor. So the principal, all of them, they no hanging out in the hallways. No, the only thing you could do is cut. Guess what? They know if you left. You see what I'm saying? So those things matter. And that is the reason why I was able to graduate high school. Shout out to Fat Joe. You know, Fat Joe came to my high schoole graduation. Fat Joe is from Bronx. Yeah, so imagine Fat Joe coming. Imagine Fat Joe. And look, I go to school on 169th, 168th in Reverend James Polite, right down the street from Prospect. Mm-hmm. I hope you know Trinity Ave is 234 Aves up.
Yeah, I know that area.
Imagine Fat Joe and who he is, and he comes to a high school graduation. Hey, yo, nobody looked at the stage no more. Everybody was worried about Fat Joe. Those things I'll never forget. I appreciate him for stuff like that. That's the real reason why, like, I stayed loyal and I went and, like, played for Fat Joe. Like, Fat Joe showed me why, you know, I love you, Tone. I see what you got, but let me take care of this young boy. Let me look out for him. And, you know, Tone opened up his arms and made sure that, you know, I knew I had his wishes. Even though I just won a championship with Tony Rosa with Cash Money Millionaires. Mm-hmm. It was like, how do I leave after I just won a chip and then just go play for Fat Joe, whether it was for the money or not? I got Tony Rosa wishes. So it was like, once Tone gave me his wishes, Fat Joe just took over from there. And it was like, I got 5 championships in Rucker. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I won 1 with Tony Rosa. I won 3 with Fat Joe. And I won 1 with Coach D, where he had T2, we had Kenny Satterfield, we had Happy Feet. There's a whole bunch of us. We stacked up. The Kid Miller, we stacked up. You know what I'm saying?
That's,
I call myself Kobe or Rucker. Rest in peace, my guy Kobe. No disrespect. I could have had 6. This is my man Ben Gordon. My man Ben Gordon do this with his fingers. I could have had 6 if it wasn't for Joakim Noah. I ain't want to bother him when he was on my show, but I'm just saying, Joakim Noah, I'm in the championship against, I think it was Black Wall Street, or just know it was against Black Graham and Speedy. Just know 2 seconds left, tie game, championship. Joakim Noah's on the line. He missed both free throws.
Damn.
We lost in overtime to Speedy and Black Graham. I fouled out watching Joakim missing those free throws. That hurt. I wanted to bother him about it, but I'm excited that he's getting back in the NBA. So I kind of like wait until guys like retire, so then I could tell him how I really feel about certain things. I just gave him his props yesterday because it was like, you know, he was on CBS when he won with the Florida Gators.
Yeah,
and I couldn't imagine this kid sitting up here talking about Rucker, and he just won a national championship for college. But he credit, you know, the toughness and the mentality of what he was learning being around us. Look what it did for him. He went back from Rucker playing in the summertime, and the year before that, he was averaging 2 points, 4 rebounds. This kid came to Rucker, played with us, got mentally tough, went back to college, and won 2 national championships in a row, and then went to the NBA. He credited playing with us, playing in Rucker. You know how good it felt to hear Joakim tell me that yesterday? Like, I appreciate, you know, what you was telling me. And you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. I know a lot of people be looking at me like, man, you was nice, yo. You could have been in the league. But it's like, there's a lot of people that, you know, mentally, I got tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people that looked at me and was like, yo, why you so... And when you explain to them why to be like that, like, that's why I like to talk to my friends. I'm telling you, that's why I did a podcast, because I want the world, my friends and the guys that I grew up with and played ball with, they can't sit here like me and you talking, Dave, knowing how this sound. They can't lie, bro. They're not going to sit here and lie to me. They know what's up. You get what I'm trying to
Because you'll call them out on it.
Exactly. It's real. So, you know, the whole, just looking at, like I said, from what you asked me, just looking at playing in Rucker and being able to grasp all of that. Like, knowing that I went to Bronx Regional, knowing that I went to Fordham, I'm just saying, to be able to grasp all of that just from playing at Rucker, amazing experience.
So you were a teen dad. Your daughter Brianna was born when you were still at Bronx Regional. You know, talk about like, how was it being a young father? And, you know, what advice would you give the young fathers today? Because there are some basketball players that do have kids while they're in high school or college.
Well, the first thing I want to say is wear a condom. Second thing I want to say is don't wear a condom. Don't even think about it, girl. Think about your career. Third thing I want to say is if you do wind up not wearing a condom and you do wind up having a kid, you have to put yourself in better situations to be able to be there for your kid, meaning start making better choices, better decisions. In life, no one said it's going to be easy. No one said it's going to be fair. No one said it's going to be perfect. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, how do you learn from your mistakes? And that's the one thing that I like to make sure that I try to pass on to the next generation. It was like, I got daughters. You know, people like to tell me, yo, that's karma. Nah, I don't look at that as karma. I just look at it as, you know, I get to teach my daughters how to not look at a guy that I once was. Don't look for that guy. This is how you pay attention to see what kind of guy that is. You get what I'm saying? Why? Because you understand, being from New York, man, everybody has a motive, Dave.
They do.
You know what I'm saying? If there's people that come from out of town, I always tell them, man, just, if it's one thing that advice I give you is just understand everybody in New York got a motive. So I don't care what they tell you. You better hope that it's good. You know what I'm saying? But for the next young dad, it's basically, you got to make genuine decisions that you can live with. And when I say you can live with, no, you got to wake up every day and you got to look in the mirror yourself. You get what I'm saying? Like I said, we all make mistakes. And that's the one thing I want to tell the next generation. Just because you look in the mirror and know that you made mistakes doesn't mean that tomorrow can't change. I'm not saying that you can erase your mistakes, but you can change to better not making those mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And all that does is eventually start showing that you are maturing. You're growing. You get what I'm saying? And that's all God asks of us, Dave. He just wants us to grow. Like a lot of us, there's things that happen in our life on a day-to-day basis that kind of like, not saying keep us stuck, but it keeps us in a space where we're comfortable or we're content. All I'm saying is, the next thing I could tell the next generation is search for growth. I'm a big fan of talking to leaders and talking to people and speaking my story. Why? Because I know in my story, can no one tell me that I never changed to grow. I know what type of person I used to be when I was younger and played basketball, and can no one tell me today that I don't speak a whole different message. I don't need a pat on the back. I pat myself on the back. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because that's part of growth. You know what I mean? It's like you can't try to help people if you ain't never working on your leadership skills.
Exactly.
You can't be a leader if you ain't never trying to praise the positive versus the negative. And that's why I saluted you when we first got on, because it's like, yo, Dave, you're not in that world where it's about the likes. You're not in that world where it's about the followers, bro. You're in that world where it's about information, and awareness is key. And that's the one thing you're going to always be praised for, but you can't see it yet. You're going to always be praised for awareness, bro. That's going to matter more than anything that you look at when it comes to likes or followers. Trust me when I tell you that, bro.
Absolutely. So Brianna, shout outs to her.
Shout out to Bree.
Howard
Yo,
University.
my daughter is 20. She goes to Howard University. This is her second year. I went to Fordham. My daughter goes to Howard University. I want to shout her out, Brianna. She does my Yeah, you see it. She does my flyers. She does all of that stuff. I ain't even know my daughter was this dope, bro. Like, when I say this dope, meaning that my daughter goes to Howard for fashion. And I mean, look at me. My nickname is Hollywood, A-Butta. You see me, I'm always fly. So that apple don't fall too far from the tree. But it's just great that moving forward and me seeing what she's capable of doing, I'm investing in the family tree.
Yeah.
I'm not calling nobody else. Like, I'm investing in the family tree. The same things that I can ask some. Still got the relationship with the child that I did it for. That meant a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? For me to just have the relationship with her. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that I have that today is like, I'm super grateful for that. That means something to me more than the money.
Mm-hmm. So we was about to say, Brianna segues into the decision that you made. You at first you committed to the University of Miami, but then you backed out, you know, to go to Fordham. Talk about the Miami commitment, and then why did you decide to do Fordham instead?
Shout out to Greg Gary. You know, you can Google these names. People will learn him. He was the assistant coach at University of Miami. He was recruiting me. They brought me down here on an unofficial visit. Miami wanted me so bad they had me hang out with Luke. That was who. Yo, let me tell you something. I stayed in Coral Gables. I'll never forget this, man. The parties and the things that he had me going to, they really wanted to persuade me to come to that school. I took the bag from Fordham, though. Like I said, I had a child. I was more into, I grew up watching Blue Chips. I'm older now. You get what I'm saying? 40,000 versus going to be in the sun. I'm sorry, bro. I just played streetball and was getting $8,000 a tournament. I'm good. I'd rather take the bag. I chose Fordham. I got a kid. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to stay close to my kid as well. Like, I always felt like 0 to 3 is like your glory years. You should always be around a kid that you bring into this earth from 0 to 3. I don't think that if you're not around a child from 0 to 3, they don't really know you like that.
They don't, yeah.
A lot that their mind can learn between 4 and 10, they could be persuaded those ages. I feel like 0 to 3 is glory years. You can't persuade that. That's genuine. That's natural. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I wanted to take that challenge, you know, stay close to my child. And that's why I always say today, you know I entered the draft and things didn't really work out for me. But if I look at it now at the age that I'm at, for me to have the relationship that I have with my daughter, I can't be mad at it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and I say that to you, Dave, because I got NBA friends. I look at my man, Ben Gordon. I look at a lot of things that he deal with. You know what I'm saying? I look at Joe Keem. I look at the things that he deal with. I look at Danny Green and how a lot of things smoothly worked out. I look at Royale Ivy. These are all my friends. I watched a lot of my friends that I grew up with, and I'm real cool with. I call.
Right.
Watch Kareem Reed, Shamgar. These are my guys. You get what I'm trying to say? Reggie Freeman. These are my friends. So ain't nothing perfect for nobody, bro. You feel what I'm saying? Everybody. So it's like, how do you embrace, you know, is it really about the money? Is it really about making it to the league? Or is it really about making sure that you write your own story, whatever that may be, Dave? And that's where I'm at. It's like, I know that I tried to go to the NBA and I might have felt like my talent was there. A lot of people spoke on how elite my talent was and felt like I could have been there. But me coming from the inner city and some of the choices that I made and some of the environments and things that I was around, we moved too quick. You know, a lot of people, I'm quite sure you heard them say this, like, I felt like I was, you know how they say, I was nice a little bit ahead of my time, or it wasn't. I don't really be wanting to say that. It's like, if we being honest, man, like, it's politics and everything, Dave, and we make choices. You know what I'm saying? I made a choice to enter the draft, but I wouldn't have made that choice if I would have knew or been schooled that you can reinstate yourself back into college if you didn't have an agent or go to a camp. So the fact that I knew I didn't get invited to Portsmouth, or the fact that I knew I didn't sign with an agent, I'm a freshman and I didn't go to nothing with the NBA, I didn't know to reinstate myself back in college. I wasn't schooled on that. I lost 3 years of my eligibility to play college ball again. And mind you, Bob Hill was pressing for me and Jeff McMillan to go to USC. But I entered the job. I wasn't with that transferring and sit out a year shit. I'm just keeping it 100. Jeff knows these. Jeff wound up going to USC. He sat out.
Yeah.
I wound up going to RCC in California anyway.
Wait, all right. Before we get to Fordham, I want to ask this. Do you ever think of what it would have been like to play in the Big East with Miami?
And it's crazy because I watched them win the following year that I didn't go. They went to the tournament, but Darius Rice was there. I spent the basketball. This nigga went for it. I threw it back between my legs. That nigga asked me after the play was over, how you do that? They seen that I came from Rucker. They was questioning a lot of things at those workouts and all of that. Long story short, I believe it would have worked out for me if I look back and see the player style because of me watching them go to the tournament. It was like they were a run and gun school. But I also felt like that could have happened too with Fordham, with the caliber of players that I had. Mark Jarrell Wright, Malik, Michael Haynes, Jeff McMillan, Duke Freeman, Steve Canal, TJ. Like, we had a kid from Paris that was 6'9". He bugged out. He killed his parents. But I'm just saying, this kid was nice. Like, this kid was like, real talk.
So he took out his parents.
Think about what I'm saying. This kid is from Paris. He wound up killing his parents. This is what I found out later on in life, bro. But think about what I'm saying to you. This kid was like 6'8", 6'9", and played with me at that school. This kid was what y'all see today and y'all call a Greek freak. He did everything. He did the same thing. I'm talking about he was that nice. He was 6'9", and he did everything that you see the Greek freak do today, and he's from Paris. Yo, think about what I'm saying to you, man. I'm on campus. He looking out his window with the red light on. He looking through the blinds. Now, me, I'm from Harlem, so it's like he my teammate, but I know his room and he doing shit like that. I'll stay away from a nigga like that. I ain't trying to, I'm just being real. I ain't trying to be cool with a dude like that. I'm letting you know, come to find out, you ask any Fordham player, Smush, anybody that ever played, everybody know that kid wound up killing his parents, man.
Yeah, well, we ain't gonna mention his name on here out of respect.
That's why I ain't say it.
Yeah,
you know, I'm keeping it real. I understand. Like that. They'll do their homework if they want to figure this out.
Yeah. So, all right. So you go to Fordham and
into the draft.
Now, before we go to the draft, like, talk about that season at Fordham.
Oh, now, you know me. I always got a story, as you could tell.
Tell your story. That's why we here.
I tell you one quick one, man. Like, everybody on my team know this. Like, when I first got there, it was like, you know, they got this study hall thing. And after you go to study hall, you know, we all supposed to meet up and play in the gym for about an hour or two together just to get to know each other. Because we all, as a team, here for study hall. So now we all supposed to go and play ball together to get to know each other before the season starts. Long story short, Smush the only person that's not showing up. So, you know, Bob Hill, I guess looking at the attendance or whatever, winds up telling us that we all got to meet 4 or 5 in the morning and we got to run around the gym for an hour.
Because he didn't show up.
Because we're not all collectively being together and getting to know each other and play together or whatever the case may be. I'm a freshman, bro. That's how real I am. You caught me at the right time, babe. Let me get another drink. Yo, let me tell you something. Smushy, my man, this is all facts. You know me. I don't hold nothing back.
Yeah.
I told the whole team as a freshman, yo, listen, wear that black windbreaker suit that Bob Hill just gave us. We wearing all black, man. Show up. It's raining outside. We gonna meet at 4 in the morning, but we ain't running. Yo, Bob Hill came with his coffee 4:30 in the morning. Okay, guys. Yeah, get the running around the gym. Everybody sitting there. Now we ain't running. He's like, oh, well, whose idea is this? I raised my hand. Hey, listen, man, I don't feel like we need to run if we all come to study hall and Smush is the only person that don't. He need to run for the hour.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what, all of you guys agree to this? They all just sat there.
Wow. They left you out to dry.
Dave, this ain't leaving that nigga. Let me tell you what's leaving out the dry, nigga. Smush started crying, nigga. Smush had to run around that gym, but before Smush ran around that gym for an hour by himself, he cried. Niggas asked him why he was crying. He was like, yo, he didn't think that the players and the team liked him. Let me tell you something. Look, you heard what I just told you, right?
Yeah.
I went to school with Jeff McMillan. I went to school with Duke Freeman McCamey. I went to school with Steve Canal, that's married to Swing Cash. I went to school with Mark Jarrell Wright. I went to school with Michael Haynes. You ain't got to take my word. You from the city. You can speak to them. I don't care if you tweet them and ask them. Did they ever see Smush Parker cry in front of the whole team because he thought the guys didn't like him?
Tears and all
I
that?
ain't got nothing to do with that, bro. I'm not running for somebody that he's the only person that don't show up. I don't feel that's fair. And I'm a freshman. I think that's what ruffled Bob Hill's feathers. The fact that this freshman comes in here, Duke, Steve, TJ, you guys are seniors. How the fuck does he get everybody to wear black suits and get everybody to like take a stand? I always been for that. I'm not, let me tell you something, Dave. I'm a utility aide today for Mount Sinai. The other guys that I work with can't make me go in a room and collectively clean it if I don't collectively dirty it. When I'm not on that type of time, guess what? Clean up behind yourself so that we all don't have to take the time out together to be cleaning shit up.
Right.
You're a grown man, bro. I'm on that type of time. I'm not with the collectively stuff. Nah.
It's
I don't watch it run because Smush the only guy that doesn't show up. No. This is a 12 team. He's the only nigga that don't show up and every other 11 do. And you telling me I gotta run at 4 in the morning around Rose Hill Gym for an hour?
Yeah.
Nah, I wasn't on that. Nah.
Yeah. So you guys went 8-20 that season. Like,
could have went better. I quit. I ain't gonna lie to you. In the middle of the season,
yeah, they said
I ain't gonna lie to you. I got up out of there. They played against St. John's in the Garden. That's the game. I left after Marquette. I quit. Had niggas help me out the dorms, take my sneakers and all that. I'm out of here. I wound up hearing when they playing against St. John's on TV, I wound up hearing the announcers, the people that's announcing the game, telling me, hey, Adrian Walton, he's not here. If you're wondering why he's not on the bench and he's not playing, and this would have been a great game that he would love to play up and down pace. That's the type of game he got. Long story short, I started also hearing them saying, you're a freshman, you need to come back and, take this on. And if you want to transfer or leave or whatever, but never just leave something that you started with. Long story short, whoever those guys was, they kind of like motivated me to, want to go back to Fordham and finish what I started. That's the only reason why I went back. If I didn't hear what they said at the game against St. John's, even though that's the most turnovers that Fordham has ever had against St. John's ever on national. I'm just telling you, these is records. They had so many turnovers because they ain't had no guard, but it was like, bro, I played against Dwayne Wade and Travis Diener. And it's like Bob Hill was bringing me off the bench. I played against Paul McPherson. Do you understand what it's like playing in practice and this man got you on a starting team and then right before the first game, he makes you come off the bench? Like, do you know what it's like when you're in practice and you got on a black jersey, but then when it's time to play the game, he got you feeling like you was on a white jersey squad? If you're a real ball player, you understand what I'm saying. Mentally, where I'm from, that hurt, bro. It's like, I'm used to people showing me love and they respected how talented and nice I was. The things he did, man, Bob Hill, I'm today the person that I am. I ain't hating on him. I can't have no hate for nobody. He did a lot of foul shit that he never stood up to, but Shout out to his son, Cameron Hill. He taught me to step back, made me legendary.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you left. So you said, did you get to play in the St. John's game?
No, I didn't. I wound up going back to the school after that. Like I said, when I went back to the school, you know me, I'm a fair person. I listened to the white man scream at me and face turn red.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck you think you are? And da-da-da-da. First time he ever started me, Fordham never beat UMass. He started me, Fordham beats UMass, Adrian Walton has 25.
Oh, this is in January 2002.
Talk to me nice. Monty Mack, Shannon Crooks, yeah, talk to me nice. Yeah, that's what they had. Yeah, I gave them the business. And look at the numbers. When I started playing against St. Joseph's, Delonte Weston, look at the numbers. Jameer Nelson, those guys remember me. Rasul Butler, George Washington. I'm trying to tell you, when he gave me my chance, things started to change. After he started me, things changed, but it was like I still got somebody telling me, calm down. Why? This is what I always wanted to pass on to the next generation. You'll never understand someone else's motives for what they got. You'll never know what the plans and things that they got. And like I said, it don't matter what Bob Hill told me. I signed that dotted line. He had a plan for Smush Parker, and I can't knock that. Why? Salute to Smush. He made it. If that was the plan, and I had to wait my turn, because Smush still was a year ahead of me, because he was in JUCO before me. So as I was a freshman, he was a sophomore or junior at Fordham. You get what I'm trying to say? He had to sit out a year. So long story short, if I would have learned how you say it, fall in line, yeah, I fell in line, Dave. I fell in line with, as a freshman, I took the bags off the bus because y'all said that that's like tradition. As a freshman, you got to carry the bag sometimes at the away game.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like I'm the nicest nigga on the team, and y'all niggas got me carrying these niggas' bags. Cool. I'm cool with everybody. I'll accept that. That's what they do in college. I wanted to pass on the right message. I'm a freshman. I ain't going to act like I'm the nicest, so I ain't got to do that. Nah, I did stuff like that. But if you think I'm going to sit here and play behind some motherfucking Smush Parker, nigga, and I'm killing Rookie of the Year Vince Carter, nigga, y'all bugging. That's my attitude, Dave. I'm from Harlem. I'm sorry.
And then I guess after you and Smush left, like the Daily News, I think there was an article that said, in which Bob Hill said, we tried to bring the Rucker League to Fordham and it didn't work out. In reference to both of you, like, do you feel like he just wasn't trying to, he wasn't feeling, the street ball player in you or whatever?
I gave him a chance because, like I said, your resume and what you do speaks for itself. So if this is a guy that just was coach at Indiana Pacers, San Antonio Spurs, and now he's choosing to coach college basketball, it's like, you got to look at that as some type of give back for how he can help. So to me, it's like, this is an NBA coach with NBA connections. Yeah, it was Fordham. I didn't look at it as an academic school. I wasn't an academic kid, but I'm being honest, like, he's a former NBA coach. That's a connection. I'm always good with connections. You got to connect the dots in life. We come from the inner city. That's all you hoping for, is to connect the dot. You get what I'm saying? You just showcase your talent, do what you got to do. Hopefully someone will connect the dot. That's all we come from in New York City.
Right.
But what I'm saying is the fact that he turned around and was on some, he couldn't bring the Rucker. And I heard Bob Hill tell my team, like I said, always ask these guys. That's why I always put my hashtag, brother never forgets. I got the mind of an elephant. Bob Hill said, I'm going to still have my big house. I'm going to still have my black card. I'm going to still have my Mercedes Benz. You see the times that we in? You see the times that we in? Think about it. That was a white man telling me back then what he's still going to have, as if, like, if I didn't listen to him, it didn't matter. I see that now that I'm older, bro. I didn't realize that stuff. And you got to understand, I made choices when I was younger because who is he to talk to me like that? Whether that was immature of me at that time, Dave, and it might have cost me a lot, this is what matters when you got father figures and things like that in your life. That matters. Because they'd have told you, stand strong. Don't worry about what he's talking about. We got different goals, son. You see what what's his name? The LaBall family.
Yeah.
I bet you that's what he was doing with his boys. You see what I'm saying? But we don't make no excuses. This is what the inner city grows up with. We all got a story like this.
Right.
All I'm trying to tell you is, I'll never forget it. And I don't make no lies. Everything I just told you, make sure you ask anybody that went with me to Fordham, has he ever said those things? If you don't remember it and didn't touch you, I mean, to me, those things I will never forget. What do you mean? You still gonna have your own house. You still gonna have your big car. You still gonna have your black car. What do you mean when you say those things? So to me, he didn't adjust with the talent. The talent had to adjust to the pro way that he thought. And like I said, we had a lot of talent.
So
a lot of us was just young, Dave.
Yeah. Like, this is what I would say. Like, a lot of college coaches, a lot of NBA guys that coach in the NBA, sometimes their methods don't work out in college basketball. And a lot of guys that coach in college basketball, their methods don't work in the NBA. Like, for example, Rick Pitino, he did pretty decent with the Knicks, then went to Kentucky. But I guess things with him didn't work out in Boston with the Celtics. So Jerry Tarkanian, you know what I'm saying? He was with the Spurs for a short time, then he got fired. So just, you know what I'm saying? Like, just because you were great at one level doesn't mean that you'll be successful at the other. You know, there are some success stories that happened between college and the league, but, you know.
Like the smart guy now that coaches with Boston.
Right. Brad Stevens.
Yeah, Brad Stevens.
It works for him.
All I'm saying is that at the end of the day, I just feel like, you know, the one thing about me saying what I'm saying about Bob Hill is I'm quite sure that a lot of NBA players and a lot of other college players have played for him before.
Right.
They know.
Do you feel like when it came to the draft, do you feel like he spoke to a lot of people and kind of blacklisted you a little bit?
He didn't speak to nobody on my behalf. I remember him writing a letter to the guy, if I'm not mistaken at that time, his name was Stu Jackson. He was like player development.
Shout out to Stu Jackson.
So you had to write the letter to him at that time.
Right.
Only regret that I have is that Bob Hill didn't tell me I could reinstate myself back into college. I don't care about nothing else. Like, I made my choice to enter the draft. I feel like I was that nice. I don't care what camp or what agent. I ain't go for no agent, but it don't matter. Whatever camp I would have went to, I felt like the talent level that I've ever played against, I wouldn't have been able to rise. I've been to all kind of camps. Nike camp, I've been invited to that. You have to be top 100 in the country to be invited to that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Nike camp. I've been to 5-star camp. I've watched. There are people that could tell you that was on a bus. This is how big Rucker is. Howard Garfinkel seen me when I played with Riverside Church, but it was a different story when I went and played in Rucker. Howard Garfinkel, rest in peace, held the bus at the Port Authority for 2 hours until Adrian came. And I never showed up.
Wow.
I came on Sunday and played in the All-Star game. Let me tell you something. Once you ask Kenny Satterfield and a whole bunch of people what type of player you had to be to just skip camp and be able to come only on Sunday. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you how real I knew I was then. The only kind of people that I could see do stuff like that was DeJuan Wagner back in my days at Nike camp.
Mm-hmm.
You had to be like, looked at, rest in peace, Eddie Griffin, Marcus Toniel. There's a lot of names. Ben Gordon, Kyle Cuff, Omar Cook, Willie Shaw. These guys was in my era. I'm not making up no names that wasn't in my era. These guys were in my era. They were at 5-star. But they had to meet at the Port Authority to wait for that bus. Ask how many of them sat on that bus and wanted to know why that bus waited for 2 hours. Who are they waiting for? They never seen nobody do that. They never seen Mr. Garfinkel hold that. Let me tell you something, man. I've made people in big places do some real legendary shit for me, man. And it was all because of my talent, bro. I ain't never have to make it to the league. That shit like that I could talk about and hold on for life. You know why? I listen to my man Kevin Bell, not Kevin Bell, but I listen to people say like, yo, hey, I was on that bus. I was wondering why they was holding that bus. Why? Because we all know what it meant for us to play at 5-star, bro. You know what it meant for us? Yo, you know what my lie was, Dave? Still to this day, they can never tell me this. Hey, Dave,
Yeah, I hear you.
I had hickeys on my neck. Hey, yo, I told Howard Garfinkel I got robbed from my jewelry because he always seen me with I had the A-Butta 3 and I had the gold, the rose gold dog tag that Fat Joe and them got for me for playing at Rucker.
Yeah.
I went up to 5-star with hickeys on my neck and told them that I got robbed.
Oh God.
I couldn't come to camp. Hey, yo, if I'm lying, whoever sees this will let you know, man. It's so funny when you hear this and from people that was there, they gonna tell you, they're gonna be like, legendary.
Yo, that's crazy. So draft night happens and you didn't get drafted. Like, I know that was heartbreaking.
No. Yo, Dave, ain't nothing can't be, yo, let me tell you something, I'm from the street. It can't be heartbreaking if you don't really know that you wasn't there to really get it.
Right.
Like, you gotta think Kenny Satterfield and people that played in college and really got like the notoriety and think, yo, bro, I wasn't killing at Fordham. I averaged 8 or 9.
Right.
But when he started me, I averaged 15 or 14 as a freshman.
Right.
Those are numbers that I look at. I can't look at my career numbers at Fordham. I look at what happened when you started me. Those numbers is different.
Right. So then you went to Riverside Community College in California. Talk about that experience.
Won a conference title there, Orange County. No, not Orange County, excuse me. The Orange Conference. It's like they were always getting beat by some team. I don't know. I forgot the name of this team, but it was like Riverside Community College could not beat this one school. All I'm saying is they brought a kid from New York. They brought a kid from Philly. Shout out to the kid from Philly. He was nice. He was hungry. Older dude. The one thing about Cali back then at that time, they had their own state rules, just as you see today in legislature. Cali could come up with their own laws. All I'm saying to you is Cali has always had its own state rules, meaning you could have entered the draft, whatever, you still could play college ball as long as you don't have an agent. Right. So because I couldn't play National Junior College, which I went to Arkansas and tried to do, but they wouldn't let me play at University of Arkansas Fort Smith Junior College, I had to go to California in order for me to play basketball. Mm-hmm. I went there. We won the Orange Empire Conference. That's what it's called. The Orange Empire Conference. Like I said, if I go back to RCC, I got a banner on the wall that I was a part of. If I go back to Fordham, if I go back to Bronx Regional, there's a banner in that high school. Those things people can't take away from me. You know what I mean? Like, now that you older, those are things that matter. You get what I'm saying? Like, I really was looking at ball from a streets perspective. That's always been my perspective. I come from the streets, but it's like when you remember it forever because of something that you did, I ain't look at that alumni shit, but I'm part of Fordham alumni. I ain't have to go to the school 4 years. I still got a scholarship for $120,000 for a year to go to that school. How many people could say they got a scholarship for $120,000 for a year?
And Fordham is expensive.
And look at that. You get what I'm trying to say? It's like Bill Cosby and all of them is part of that. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't look at that type of stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm grateful that it's part of my journey.
Yeah. So let's get into Rucker again. The 3 championships you won with Fat Joe and Mousy. Talk about those times.
Playing with Fat Joe and Mousy, it was dope. You know, Mousy is like I ain't gonna lie, Mousy was a Kareem Reed guy. Fat Joe was a Stephon Marbury guy. Mm-hmm. And if I'm speaking the truth, I had to figure it out as being that third guard. It's different when, 2 people of their status like who they like. That's why I always try to say, like, no one could never take away from me what I always say and speak about of who I am and what I was capable of doing. You got to look at the players that I was surrounded around. You got to look at all of those guys that had names and what they did in college and what they did in high school and what they did overseas in the league. And I ain't do none of that shit, nigga, and I was the man, nigga. I ain't give a fuck about none of that. That's why my shit is, I'm from the street, nigga, because even though they had the accolades and all, the McDonald's All-American, all, nigga, I killed these niggas. So to me, it was like, I don't care how they look at y'all. Like, I'm going to always get my props because no one could never tell me that I ain't play with y'all. And at the end of the day, even though I play with y'all, I ain't accept Fat Joe or Mousy making me sit on the bench. I wasn't with that. Mm-hmm. You had Reggie Freeman, Charles Jones, all these niggas, you had them niggas sitting on the bench. I ain't with that. I get it. You giving out big bread, Joe, but guess what? This community got to see me play, nigga. I'm from Harlem.
Right.
Feel me? So that mattered, and I became legendary off of that. I was always taught by Cam. Shout out to Cameron. Stand for something or fall for anything. That's the Dipset motto.
Oh, yeah. Cam is your cousin, right?
Exactly.
Talk about Cam. Like, what was your relationship like with him?
He taught me a lot. I mean, we played ball a lot together. You know, he schooled me on a lot when it came to business and understanding stuff. He made sure that, you know, Fat Joe and guys, people paid me. He wanted me to start looking at how to make sure that I start getting paid to play basketball. So it's like, to me, he schooled me on how to, like I said, stand for something before I fall for anything. I guess whatever it was that he dealt with in his lifetime with entertainment and looking at business deals when it comes to music and things like that, he saw talent in me and was like, yo, man, you know, even though I know I play ball, I play you one-on-one. Hey, you on a whole nother motherfucking level. And it's like, I just want you to be able to be as successful as you should be. And like I said, it was times for my first bag, he negotiated. He's like, yo, listen, you don't got to talk to none of them. You tell Mousy and them to come talk to me. And that's what I did. I made Mousy and them go talk to Cam, and he negotiated my first deal with them. So from that point on, I took care of everything else after that. But shout out to Killer. He negotiated my first Rucker deal when it came to Mousy and them. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy. So after that, I remember there was some video where you called out Homicide, Corey Williams.
Nah, Homicide. Yeah.
What was that all about?
Homicide, back in the day, shout out to Corey Williams, you know what I'm saying? Homicide was just on some, you know, Homicide was that type of player where it was like, he was out for vengeance himself. He was a street ball player. He played at Rice. He was looking for the notoriety that he felt like he deserved, and he was going at people. But I was a different breed. Like I said, I just felt like I wouldn't give people chances that I felt like ain't earned it. I earned mine. So I think that kind of like bothered him that at the time that I didn't give him the notoriety that he wanted. And you got to shoot your shot. And that's what he was doing back in the day. He was shooting his shot, but it never really worked to his favor, like I said, because he always had to bring the cameras to make sure that he played against me in order to get the notoriety. I already had the notoriety. So that was the thing. It's like when you read, now that we older, when you read about what these guys wanted, they always looking at me and wanted what I wanted. And I ain't saying that Greg made sure that all of that happened for me. When you do your homework, nigga, I was killing. That's the one thing I always try to explain to them, like, no disrespect to Bone Collector, no disrespect to Homicide. Yo, Dave, niggas was nice, Dave. I was a fucking winner. It's different. Like, you can't just be nice and don't be a winner, bro. I was a winner, and I got championships to back that shit up. There's a lot of niggas that was nice that played in Rucker, but niggas wasn't winning, bro. I rarely lost. It's times that I rarely, like my first year, I lost first round in the playoffs.
Damn.
My second year playing in Rucker, I lost in the championship. My third year in Rucker, I won. My fourth year, I won. My fifth year, I won. My sixth year, I won. All I'm saying is they named me 357. I went to the championship 7 times, I played in the tournament for 7 years. I went to the championship 5 times, and I won 3. They named me 357.
That makes
No
sense.
one's never had the start that I ever had in Rucker Park. That's what makes me speak and talk legendary. Is like, for y'all to tell me about the Joe Hammonds and Steve Birch seniors and Terminators, yeah, he got 10. They could tell me about the Robert Ory's, Fab, who got 7. They could name all of these different names. They ain't never had a start that I had, I'm talking about like Jason Terry, Jamal Tinsley, like I'm talking about names that matter, like Stephon Marbury, like these were all guys that was at their top. I'm not saying that when Master Rob and them played, it wasn't like that. That might be the platinum era, but when I played in the golden era, when Diddy and all of those guys wanted to be there, Smack City, you see it on TNT documentary.
Yeah.
I was moving like a musician. You heard it was a 17-year-old that they couldn't stop moving like a musician. Hey, yo, I look at stuff like that because it's like when you listen to what people are saying about you, the way I played, that's what made you talk like that. It's not me just talking. I listen to you say that.
Right. So let's talk about the nicknames. How did you get the nickname Hollywood? And how did you get the nickname Whole Lot of Game?
Hollywood, and I'm fly. I'm fly as fuck, nigga. I'm from Harlem. My lighter gotta go with my clothes. Remember what I just said to you. I'm from Harlem. My lighter gotta go with my clothes. That's where Hollywood come from. What other name you want to know about?
Whole Lot of Game.
Whole Lot of Game. That was my first name. I showed them so much shit. Al Cash. He was like, yo, this kid I was scoring, I was stealing, I was dunking, I was shooting threes. When you say a person that could do everything, meaning that I'm a big fan of domination. So it's like, even if you could see like my character when you're talking to me and you having an interview, it's like I dominate conversations. Why? Because I'm a dominating person. At the end of the day, that's just my nature. Like, I dominate. I don't dominate in a negative way. I dominate now in a positive. Back then, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes my conversation and how I came across was type negative. But with growth and maturity, you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Dave, you was around me a couple of times. You saw some bug outs. You my man. We ain't gotta talk about that. I like to keep everything positive. Yeah. But I'm quite sure you saw how I got down. Especially when you came to pictures and playing with me. You was there.
You know, things happen. I probably not remember that now, but you know.
And Dykeman with that little short guy that did the pictures. You was there talking about, don't act like you don't know you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know about that situation, but
exactly.
I wasn't there. But I know about what you're talking about.
Well, get it. All I'm saying is, if I could make Greg Marius shut the tournament down because of what he think I'm gonna do, what you thought you heard, nigga? That nigga can't take pictures nowhere, nigga. Fuck you talking about? I don't give a fuck how much y'all want to get into basketball and the culture, nigga. I am the culture. You gotta respect me.
All right. So let's talk about Streets first. When did in the beginning? I know it was you and Bernard Bowen.
Beat Bowen, shout out to Beat Bowen.
But then you decided to, take it on solo.
I went solo.
So talk about Streets first for those that may or may not know it.
Well, legends never die. You gotta know your history. As you can look at today, content is king, Dave. You don't have footage of Master Rob. You don't have footage of Joe Hammond. I just hope you understand that everything that you're putting out today about Christ the King and all those guys and everything that you're speaking about with everybody else, those guys become extinct. You know why? Because they don't got no footage.
Unfortunately, that's true. I'm
just telling you, that has nothing to, you have your own lane. I'm just telling you ask a question. That's what my lane about. My job is to make sure that these people are never forgotten. My job is to make sure that legends never die. Why? Because at the end of the day, we living in a time and an era where content is king, and if I can't Google you, I'm not listening to you. You can't just tell me what you want to tell me, and I can't see it, bro.
No,
you get what I'm saying? I understand that.
Yeah, but I'm in agreement with you on that because, you know, like you said, it's hard to find footage. Like I can find newspaper clips on some of these guys, but yeah, video is hard because who knows
content.
Yeah, like who knows who knows like those secret tapes that that some people had back in the day. Who knows where they're at now, and who knows?
People are not. You got to think about it when you look at the eras and the times. People not keeping VHS tapes.
Right.
When people pass away, they throwing those away. That's going down. Why? No one has VCRs. I'm not saying that because me and you don't understand that that's valuable, but that's not. Look, that's why it's valuable to tell your parents to get a Facebook. Sorry to tell you this, Dave, but that might just be their obituary.
Yeah, that's true.
Just remember what I just told you, bro.
Yeah.
Don't take that the wrong way. You gotta overthink what I just said to you. You get what I'm trying to say? Like you gotta adjust with the times. That's the only way people would be able to still see you.
Right.
If not, what do you think? The Polaroids that you got in your house, people gonna see? They can't see that no more. They forget about you. You become extinct, bro. Why you think I talk about Greg Marius so much?
Yeah.
I cannot. I don't mind whoever else blowing up and becoming. Salute to anyone's greatness, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But it's no way that I could let what Greg has done just go. How?
Yeah. Now you're right about that, because
if you notice, I don't even speak on who's not. What I'm saying is,
who was? Yeah.
I stick to what I can do. That's all I'm saying.
No, I mean what you just said before about that's the best way for people to remember your Facebook and social.
That's what Streets First is about. That's what you asked.
Right. No, but yeah, on Facebook it's like when people die, their page turns from their name to remembering them. So what you just said is very, very true.
Real talk.
And I remember that Greg Marius interview that you did before he passed. One of the things that you talked to him about was, why is it that they're only gravitating towards the kids now and less instead of the unlimited? And the point that he made was, I don't want to see you when you're 35. I've seen you already. And then the part where you answered the question, when you asked him, is that a shot at me because I'm 35?
You know that.
Yeah.
When he said that, it was like Greg at that time was going with the times. It was like he could see that the younger generation, they not with the, Dave, I grew up idolizing Kobe, Jordan, Iverson. The younger generation might like you, but they're not idolizing you, bro. Exactly. I'm the next me. Fuck you mean I'm not the next Kobe. I'm the next me. I'm just saying that's the generation. You got to understand it. If not, you're not with the times. That's all I'm saying.
No, but
Greg kind of like sort of. That's all I'm saying. Greg was on some,
I'm sure
they don't want to see that, like they know your name, they respect you, but they don't want to see that. So being that he said that, he's basically trying to tell us like we could become extinct.
Exactly.
But how do you utilize the footage?
That's true.
When you look at YouTube and everything, that's how we do things, Dave. How do you utilize the footage, Dave? Like when you think about it, and I just feel like when you got LeBron getting $100 million for having his own media company or something of that nature. I do my homework. You watching stuff like that?
Yeah.
I think he just got like $100 million with him and Maverick for doing their own media company or something. But he executive produces stuff. Kevin Durant executive produces stuff. Both of those guys played in the Rucker.
Mm-hmm.
All of that footage, due to the family and his kids, that has to have a conversation over there to where the family, I don't know, not saying sell it off to them, but license it to them. Or all I'm saying to you is the world, Dave, going through people of status like LeBron and them that's in that field, not just because they got the name, no, because they're in that field. the caliber of footage that we got for Rucker, they should be able to expose it because they played the game. They was there.
Right.
They know how it should come out on Netflix. They know how it should be exposed to the world. Why? You play basketball. You play the tournaments. You heard of this. You grew up. Yo, Dave, I'm not giving that out until it gets to that level, Dave.
Yeah.
I just remember what I'm telling you. The family trusts me enough to know I won't bring nobody to the table until it's that point. It has to get to that level to where the world gets seasoned. You deserve that.
Right.
I don't want to knock with this generation and how everybody playing, but yo, don't act like y'all wasn't seeing a jelly roll before. Yo, listen.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Don't act like. All I'm saying is certain things can pass because you in the world hasn't been exposed to that. Where can you Google Rucker footage where they jellying?
Yeah.
I'm not knocking it, Dave. I want to make sure I throw that out there. I know how it may sound.
Yeah.
But think about what I'm saying to you. So it's like, what happens? That movement still goes. But it's about making sure that we know our history. That's all I'm about. You can't, our ancestors went a different route. The reason why you see Black Lives Matter today.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm saying is, I respect Kyrie and what he's saying when it comes to, we need to have our own league, or at least not just go back to basketball to where they, Dave, this world is about normalizing everything. You don't see that? Like, everybody tries to normalize things that's foul, that's wrong, that, Dave, is a reason that there's a right and a wrong, bro. There's no, because I got this religion, that doesn't mean that I see it the way you see it, so it doesn't mean that it's right, and I can't. Come on, Dave. We start to put politics on everything. All I'm saying to you is, as a human being, don't act like you and me both don't understand what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
That's all I want to give to the next generation through Streets First, bro.
Now, let's talk. You mentioned the Jelly fan before. So what do you think of the current generation of New York basketball?
I'm going to be honest with you. You asking me a question, Dave, and I'm an honest person. I'm not into it. I don't know who's nice out there. I don't know. And that's not that I'm not in tune. It's just that I'm from New York. It's not rocking. Mr. New York City is in what? August or Jose Alvarado is in Georgia Tech. That's what I know of. Isaiah, I guess, is going to Long Beach. All I'm saying to you is, this is all on these guys' resume. I don't give a fuck what they think. I don't give a fuck about their followers. I don't care about whatever movement they moving. I just want you to know, Dave, I played basketball and we all tie our sneakers up. It was people before them and there's going to be people after them. And I just want you to know one thing. New York City going to talk because you got a resume. You can't finesse it. You can't spin it. You can't, you feel me? We all got a resume, bro. So whenever you start I got this hype, I got this love, you ain't doing nothing, you ain't got no resume that a person that, you get what that's New York. Right. So, if it ain't changing nothing, they good. My thing is, make sure that you understand what power you have and how to utilize it to make a difference. And that's what I talk to these NBA players about. It's way too many NBA players. There's way too many celebrity stars, as in basketball or hip hop. It does nothing for where they came from, bro.
Makes sense.
Come on.
So this is a question that I love to ask all of my guests. If you could go back in a time machine to 1999, what would you tell Adrian or A-Butta at 18?
Don't take the money. I lost my passion. Dave, if it's one thing that now that I'm older, it's like, that's what I always say to myself and I look back at. yo, I was so fucking nice because I had a different type of passion. Nigga, I wanted to get nice. Nigga, I was staying in the gym. I wanted to make sure. Yo, you know how many opportunities I missed out on because I wouldn't get paid? So I wouldn't even go somewhere and be able to showcase my talent for opportunities and doors that could have possibly opened for me and been there for me. Why? Because I wouldn't get paid? And you talking about money's the root of all evil. If I'm going to be honest to 1999 Adrian, nigga, you fucked up a lot because you wanted the money. I'm not saying that yo, Dave, and I hope you understand me saying this to you. This is what the society is fighting for.
Right.
When you come from the inner city, what you want us to want, Dave? We ain't got nothing. What you want us to want? Mm-hmm. Look at how it's designed. What you want us to want, bro?
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? I'm not making no excuses, but what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, it's like, Shorty, I'm not telling you not to want the money.
Right.
What I'm saying is, don't miss out on opportunities because if the money's not attached to it, you can't see the bigger picture for the opportunity.
Right, exactly.
That's all.
Well said. Final question. What's next in the future for Adrian A-Butta Walton?
Man. Like I said, man, streets first. I'm going to continue to push that. God willing, A-Butta 3 Inc., which is my nonprofit. I'm going to try to figure out how to utilize, being proclamated and having, different awards and merits and things like that from Letitia James and Al Taylor and Gail Brewer. Figure out how to utilize those connections to be able to get grants to work with the NBA players that I know, to have it, to be tax write-offs for them, to be able to build, community centers, to be able to get the kids off the street, to be able to get leadership, to be able to see that people do care about them. And there are better ways that we can figure out how to make sure that the money is done the right way. And we don't always got to go through the white man because, some of my black friends got just as much as money as the white man. And we can figure out how to buy our land back by just using our mind to utilize people that is still here, that is doing good things. That's all I want. That's what's next for me. I want people to see that there are people that's still doing good. Don't be afraid to take a chance on people that's still doing good. It don't matter whatever perception you might have had of them before. If you could do your homework and research and see that people are doing good, invest in it. I'm not saying I don't know. You got to do it just because we black. I ain't with that. I'm on some, yo, Dave, when you're doing right, all you ask people is to see that you're doing right and try to help you continue to put out right. That's all Adrian's trying to do moving forward.
Well, Butta, thank you for coming on, to
Appreciate
tell
you.
your testimony. And I wish you nothing but the best with your nonprofit and Streets First moving forward.
Shout out to my second daughter, Adriana. Even though you gave my first daughter, Brianna, a shout out. Shout out to my second daughter, Adriana. She's doing exceptionally well. I got a 20-year-old and a 14-year-old. Girl's dad. You did?
Where's Adriana going to high school?
Right now, Adriana goes to school in Connecticut, which
right.
So it's like, I don't know which exact high school she's choosing. My daughter's always been in engineer school and private school, so that's like a conversation over the summer due to this COVID stuff. Me and her mom's got to have a conversation about to figure out what's the best situation for her. But I'm going to continue to try to put my daughters in the best school, whether we got to pay or whatever. I just want to see them blossom. You know what I'm saying? I want to see them become Hollywood. I want to see them become the word Butta. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's Butta. Look what she doing. That's Butta. That's young Butta.
Indeed. Well, everybody, this is episode 43. And before we log off, I would like to say rest in peace to young Brandon Hendricks, who was killed this Sunday. Guys, for all my youth out there, be careful on these streets. This year, we've had 500 shootings in New York City and 18 within the last couple days. Even though we're in these rough times with the pandemic, be safe. If you don't have to go out, don't go out. Just be careful on these streets. So this episode, we will dedicate to the memory of Brandon Hendricks. And
Shout out to
also,
Hendrix.
guys, for those that want to see this episode, everybody in Harlem and everybody that supports A-Butta, check this episode out on YouTube, IG, and Facebook. Stay blessed, stay safe. Peace.
Shout out to Dave Story.